Have you ever felt like you were born into the wrong family? Like your soul was coded with a language no one around you could speak? Like you carried ancient wisdom in your bones, but every time you tried to express it, the people closest to you looked at you like a stranger? You laugh too little, you think too deeply, you cry over things others ignore. They call you sensitive, distant, dramatic. But what if it's not brokenness? What if it's spiritual clarity? There's a sacred pain that comes with being misunderstood by your own bloodline. You look around and wonder, why do I see what they don't? Why do I feel things they pretend don't exist? And that question, buried in silence and years of rejection, is not proof that you're lost. It's confirmation that you've been set apart. You were never meant to blend in. You were planted, not misplaced. Hidden in plain sight, not forgotten, assigned to a specific family line, not because you fit in, but because you were sent to shift it. God didn't make a mistake when He dropped your soul in the middle of a household that couldn't hold your spirit. He wasn't punishing you, He was positioning you. You are the divine interruption to patterns that needed to end. And before you ever had a name, before you ever felt the weight of not belonging, heaven already whispered over your life. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1 verse 5. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are the beginning of the shift. If your spirit is already resonating with this truth, if you know deep down you were never meant to fit in because you were born to stand out, drop 777 in the comments as your prophetic confirmation. Chapter 1. You are the breaker of chains. Every bloodline has its shadows. Every family carries burdens no one talks about. Cycles of silence, shame, poverty, addiction, betrayal, bitterness, emotional numbness passed down like heirlooms. And while others pretend not to see it, while they smile through dysfunction and call it normal, you feel it. You see it. It doesn't sit right with your spirit, because it was never meant to. You weren't born just to survive what your family accepted. You were born to confront it, to tear down altars built on pain and rebuild foundations rooted in truth. God didn't choose you because you were the most perfect, the most praised, or the most put together. He chose you because you were willing to feel the things no one else would admit, willing to cry out in prayer when everyone else stayed silent, willing to go first into healing, into discomfort, into battle so that the curse would stop with you. And let's be honest, it's exhausting, carrying the emotional weight of things you didn't cause, feeling grief that doesn't belong to you but lives in your bones, waking up with burdens that seem older than your own life. But what if I told you, the pain you've been carrying isn't even all yours? Stay with me, we're about to go deeper, because when heaven assigns a breaker, it doesn't just give them discernment. It gives them authority. And your authority didn't come from being the most prepared. It came from being the most surrendered. Chapter 2. The hidden cost of divine assignment. This isn't punishment. This is preparation. What feels like rejection is really redirection. What seems like delay is divine timing in disguise. And what you thought was abandonment, that was God removing you from the crowd so He could speak to you in the secret place. Chosen ones walk through fire while others walk free. Not because God loves them less, but because He's preparing them for more. You've asked, why me? Why does it feel like I'm always the one breaking, losing, waiting? But the truth is, heaven doesn't anoint casually. Oil only flows from what's been crushed. You are that alabaster jar. And every betrayal, every heartbreak, every closed door was part of the pressing that brought the fragrance out of your life. The isolation, that was God's way of consecrating you. The betrayal, that was Him showing you who couldn't go with you into your next season. The delay, that wasn't a no, it was a not yet. Because He's not just building a moment for you, He's building a mantle on you. You see, when you're chosen, your process will never look like theirs. And that's because your purpose is heavier, deeper, more eternal. While others are coasting, you're being carved. While they're celebrating, you're weeping. But don't confuse the pain with punishment. Heaven doesn't waste a wound. Many are called, but few are chosen. Matthew 22 verse 14. And the chosen aren't celebrated in the beginning. They're tested, refined, hidden. stripped, pressed. But even in the crushing, your spirit whispered the same words Job once said. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job 13 verse 15. You kept showing up. You kept obeying. And heaven took notice. Because before the oil flows publicly, it must be cultivated privately. And right now, God is producing something in you that can't be rushed. Chapter 3. The spiritual gift of sensitivity. You feel what others refuse to feel. You see what others pretend isn't there. That's not weakness. That's spiritual strength. And if you've ever been called too emotional, too intense, or too much, let me speak directly to that wounded part of you. They didn't recognize your gift because they've never carried your calling. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's a weapon. It's the Spirit's way of alerting you when something's off, before the chaos even shows its face. While others are comfortable in silence, you're picking up what's hidden in the atmosphere. While they laugh without noticing the storm in the room, you discern it. That's not paranoia. That's discernment. That's watchmanship. You weren't created to be numb to dysfunction. You were wired to feel the tremors before the quake, to see what others miss, to hear what others ignore. You are the spiritual watchman on the wall, placed by God to sound the alarm when something is misaligned. And yes, it makes relationships harder. Yes, it means you carry burdens no one else understands. But it also means you are trusted by heaven to guard what others can't even sense. This is empathic warfare. It's not just about feeling deeply. It's about standing spiritually when the battle isn't even visible yet. Your spirit knows when something's coming before your mind can explain it. That's divine intelligence. And God doesn't give that kind of sensitivity to just anyone. He gives it to those he can trust to pray, to intercede, to see danger coming and still hold the line. So if you've been feeling like your emotions are too heavy, your heart too open, your perception too deep, breathe. You're not broken. You're awake. Watch, stand fast in the faith. Be brave, be strong. 1 Corinthians 16 verse 13. You are the one who stays alert when everyone else falls asleep. You are the one who stands guard when others wander. And that sensitivity you carry, that's not a curse. It's evidence of your assignment. Chapter 4. Divine isolation is not rejection, it's strategy. Let's make something clear. God didn't isolate you to reject you. He isolated you to prepare you. There's a sacred silence that falls over every chosen one at some point. A silence where the phone stops ringing, the rooms feel colder, and even the people who used to be close suddenly don't understand you anymore. And while your flesh wants to call it rejection, your spirit knows it's strategy. See, when God is about to do something new in you, he has to pull you away from the old. Not because you're better than them, but because what's on you can't be formed in the noise. Elevation always requires separation. And before God reveals a vessel to the world, he hides it in the wilderness. Even Jesus, fully God, fully man, had to be led into the wilderness before stepping into his public assignment. Joseph, he was thrown into a pit and left in a prison before he ever sat in a palace. David, he was anointed king in private but sent back to tend sheep while his brothers stayed in the spotlight. Over and over, God proves this truth. Those he plans to raise, he first removes. So if you felt like people can't see you, hear you, or understand you, it's not because you've lost favor. It's because you've been set apart. You were never meant to be part of the crowd. You were born to rise from it. A prophet is not without honor except in his own town and in his own home. Mark 6 verse 4. Divine isolation feels cruel when you don't recognize its purpose. But the cocoon doesn't mean death. It means transformation. A butterfly isn't formed in applause. It's formed in the dark, quiet, hidden, unseen. So if doors are closing, if relationships are shifting, if your circle is shrinking, don't panic. You're not being left behind. You're being pulled ahead. God is stripping distractions so you can carry destiny. And this wilderness season, it's not the end. It's the training ground for glory. This isn't rejection. This is refinement. This is strategy. And the ones who make it through isolation, they don't come out the same. They come out anointed. Chapter 5. You are heaven's disruptor. When God needs to shift a bloodline, he doesn't send someone passive. He sends a disruptor clothed not in armor, but in obedience. And that disruptor is you. You were not born to blend in. You were born to break through, to tear down generational strongholds with your yes, to stand in the middle of dysfunction and become a holy interruption. You are the breaker, the builder, the intercessor. You don't just walk into rooms, you shift the atmosphere when you enter. And you've felt it, haven't you? That holy tension, that spiritual static. The way conversations get quiet. The way people around you squirm when you speak truth. That's not rejection. That's recognition. They may not understand it, but their spirit senses it. Something on you doesn't bow to the patterns they've normalized. You don't carry the same frequency. Heaven marked you to carry fire, and fire always makes people uncomfortable. You've walked into chaos and felt heaven rise up inside you. You've entered toxic spaces and heard your spirit say, "Not here, not anymore." You've felt the weight of things no one else would speak of, and still you chose to love. Still you chose to stay on the altar. Still you obeyed when you could have escaped. That's the mantle of a disruptor. And yes, it comes with pain. Yes, it costs you peace in places where silence would have been easier. But you weren't called to keep the peace. You were called to make the shift. So hear this, when God anoints a disruptor, He doesn't send them to comfort dysfunction. He sends them to confront it with compassion and courage, to pray through what others avoid, to plant righteousness where roots of rebellion once grew. But what if I told you, you weren't sent to fix them, but to free them? What if this weight wasn't a burden, but a weapon? Stay with me, we're about to unlock what that means. Because this calling you carry isn't just personal, it's generational. Chapter 6. Legacy runs through you. The obedience you give today will become the freedom your children walk in tomorrow. This battle you're fighting, it's not just about your healing. It's about your bloodline's redemption. God didn't choose you to simply survive the dysfunction. He anointed you to end it. Because when heaven places a mantle on your life, it's not only for your benefit. It's for those coming after you. Your tears are watering seeds of deliverance. Your prayers are shaking foundations your ancestors couldn't name. Your obedience is building bridges across generational gaps so your children, and your children's children, will never have to fight the same giants you faced. This is bigger than survival. This is about legacy. The warfare you're enduring, that's because you're protecting an inheritance. You are standing in the spirit as a guardian, defending land that hell tried to claim. You are uprooting ancient lies. You are rewriting the narrative. Every time you say no to what tried to master your parents, every time you forgive what could have hardened your heart, every time you stay faithful when quitting would be easier, you are shifting history. You are securing legacy. Yes, it's exhausting. Of course it feels heavy. That's what happens when you're carrying the weight of destiny. But that exhaustion you feel, that's evidence of mantle bearing. That's what it feels like to walk as one who has been entrusted with restoration. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Proverbs 13 verse 22. You are a royal priesthood, a holy nation. 1 Peter 2 verse 9. Royalty doesn't run from the battle. It leads through it. And whether you have children yet or not, know this, your legacy has already begun. The freedom you fight for now will be the normal for those who come after. You are not just healing for yourself. You are healing the soil so future fruit can grow sweeter. Chapter 7. You are the fulfillment of ancient prayers. Your ancestors cried out for freedom, and heaven answered by sending you. Long before you ever breathed your first breath, someone in your bloodline groaned for a different future. Maybe they couldn't speak it out loud. Maybe they didn't have the language or the liberty, but their spirit cried out, and God heard. Not every cry is loud. Some are whispered in closets. Some are wept into pillows. Some are buried beneath silence. But heaven captures all of them. And when the time was right, God sent you as the answer. You are the living response to a prayer someone else didn't have the strength to finish. You are the evidence that God remembers the oppressed. You are the fulfillment of generational longing. Even your tears have purpose. Every silent breakdown, every lonely night, every time you asked, "Why do I feel this so deeply?" It wasn't wasted. It was a seed. Those who sow in tears shall reap with joy. Psalm 126 verse 5. You've been sowing in silence, but heaven has been gathering every drop. And the reaping will come, not just for you but for those connected to you. Because when God looked down your family line, full of patterns, pain, unspoken wounds, and searched for one who would stand in the gap, I sought for a man among them, and found none. Ezekiel 22 verse 30. Until your yes, until your surrender, you are heaven's intercession wrapped in flesh. You are the bridge between what was and what must be. And even if no one ever tells you thank you, heaven already has. The angels know your assignment. The Spirit affirms your role. You are not forgotten, you are foretold. Chapter 8. When the fire doesn't consume you, it awakens you. You didn't just survive the fire. You became the flame. Let that sink in. The very thing that was sent to break you became the birthplace of your boldness. The heat that tried to scorch your soul only refined your spirit. Hell didn't come after you because you were weak. It came because it knew what was inside of you. Destiny, light, authority. You were marked early, targeted young, attacked often, not because you were cursed, but because you were called. The enemy saw it before you did, saw your potential, saw your oil, saw that if you ever healed, if you ever rose, if you ever woke up, the kingdom of darkness would lose its grip over everything connected to your name. But here you are, still breathing, still believing, still standing. That is not an accident. That is evidence. Evidence that God's hand was on you when no one else could see it. Evidence that even when life felt like a furnace, heaven was standing in the fire with you. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you were thrown in to be consumed, but came out unbound and untouched. Daniel 3 verse 25. And now, something in you has shifted. You're not afraid like you used to be. You don't bend the same. Because the fire didn't destroy you, it unlocked you. It burned away the fear. It melted the chains. It revealed the weapon hiding inside the wound. So let me ask you, now that you've made it through the fire, are you ready to become the light for someone else? Because this isn't where your story ends. It's where your assignment begins. This isn't just a video. This is a spiritual announcement. Hell took its shot. Heaven stood up. And now it's your turn to rise. You didn't come this far just to collapse under the weight. You came this far because there's a crown waiting to rest where you once carried shame. You came this far because God has been forming a warrior, not a victim. A vessel, not a statistic. A shift, not a shadow. Now is the time to step into full spiritual identity. Now is the time to walk in the authority you never saw growing up but always felt rising inside of you. Now is the time to declare with boldness and fire, it ends with me, but it also begins with me. You were chosen to be the reset in your bloodline, to build altars where there were ashes, to pour oil where there was once silence, to declare life where death had settled in. Right here, right now, open your mouth and decree it. Don't just feel this, declare this. Repeat after me. Declare it with power. I am the shift. I break what broke them. I build what they could not finish. I forgive. I rise. I release the past and step into divine alignment. My voice matters. My legacy begins today. I am the one God chose. Say it again, not as a hope, but as a heaven-backed fact. I am the shift, because you are. You are the fulfillment of prophecy. You are the sound of prayers answered. You are the weapon formed in the dark to pierce through generational bondage. So here's your next step. If this spoke to your soul, if something deep inside you woke up, then don't scroll past it. Drop I am the shift in the comments as a declaration of alignment. Not for attention, not for applause, but for spiritual visibility. Let heaven hear it. Let hell notice it. Let your future feel it. Mark this moment as the line in the sand. The day the cycle broke. The hour the curse bowed. The minute you became the answer. Like this video, not for the algorithm, but as an act of obedience. Subscribe if you know this isn't just content, it's confirmation. Because your time is not coming. Your time is now. And if no one has told you lately, heaven is proud of you. The angels know your name, and God has never, not once, taken his eyes off you. Now go, be the shift.